Warning, the following video contains spoilers. If you don't want this episode spoiled for you, switch the video off now. So it turns out I was right. There was a spooky teasy bit towards the end of last week's episode, which I totally missed when I made my review. Whoops! Of course, we'll get onto that stuff in just a couple seconds, but I want to know from you, dear listener, what did you think about this week's episode of My Hero Academia? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you shortly, either directly in the comments themselves, or towards the end of next week's video. And be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to, because it supports small content creators like me, and it does me a power of good. Before we get too far into the review, I just want to point out that it's rather warm today, so that's why I'm dressed up as a tourist, because this shirt is really great for warm weather, and you might hear the fan whirring in the background, picking up either the camera or the microphone itself. I'm in an attic, ladies and gentlemen, and I can't really have the window open today because there's people out with the dogs, and you probably hear them over me, so let's just relax, sit back and enjoy the wonderful sounds of royalty-free superhero music. Ooh. To actually get to the meat of the review itself, to give you the headline of what I thought of this episode, I thought that it was perfectly balanced as all things should be. This was a perfectly paced episode that was able to tell us everything it needed to for all our key characters in such a way that it didn't feel as though it was stealing oxygen from anyone else. We had 4 characters really to focus on, and each of them was sufficiently developed and sufficiently explored, while still leaving room to explore more of them in future episodes, with once again without taking anything away from any of the other characters. We're able to quite easily do the stuff with Hawks, do the stuff with Endeavour, do the stuff with Midoriya, and do the stuff with the first user of One for All without anybody feeling as though they're having time taken from them or feeling like stuff needed to develop even more. It gave us just a taste of each of these characters and the direction that they're going to be going in without it ever feeling as though it was stealing anything from anyone else, and that shows a great level of technical ability. It's really fantastic to see stuff like this, which, to be honest, as someone who is a writer, I'm probably going to pick up on this more than other people, but it was honestly really great to see. All of these characters feel as though they've got a great way to go now with this story. Not so much maybe the first ever quirk user of One for All, because, you know, for obvious reasons, but this is a great way for us to go into this season, and for what is effectively the first proper episode of this season, it really makes me excited to see where we're going to go with all this. Of course, one of the big things with this episode was the whole meeting with Hawks and Dabby, which, to be honest, I thought was going to be going in a different direction as I thought than it actually ended up doing so. I think a lot of people thought it was going to go in a very different direction to which it was going to go, for reasons which I think have been spoilt for just about everyone now, but I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who, you know, might not have heard about it just yet. But, you know, I think the only major feeling that I get from that, as I think a lot of people have got looking at some of the comments online and some of the headlines from the different YouTube videos, is a lot of confusion as to what the hell is going on with Hawks. I'll be honest with you, dear listener, when I saw Hawks having his meeting with Dabby and discussing like the goings on and the villain stuff, I was thinking to myself, aha! I've got him! This is it! He was a secret arsehole after all! I was right, I'm special, I'm the chosen one, I can tell this stuff ahead of everyone else. Turns out, however, that might not be the case, because it looks like he's just acting as a double agent. He's actually working for the Hero Corporation, Guild people, and he's actually working as a double agent to find out more information on behalf of them about the Nomus and the League of Villains. Okay, sure, I mean, that does kind of deflate and take a lot away from that moment of thinking that he might be a secret arsehole. I mean, ego aside, him being a double agent or whatever agent it might be, I think is more interesting than him just still being a good guy. But sure, we'll see where all this goes. Hell, for knowing programs like this, it might turn out that he's going to be a triple agent. Ooh, how brave and bold that might be. And on a side note, speaking of brave and bold, can we just take a moment to appreciate the My Hero Academia wiki? I mean, it truly is a wonderful piece of work. I mean, you know, it is really brilliant, the fact that I logged onto it this morning to check out the spelling of certain characters' names as well as the name of this week's episode, only to discover the fate of a major character. Yeah. So a major character in this show, what's going to happen to them has been spoilt for me. Not because I was digging around their character profile or their storyline stuff, but merely from a picture of them on the page with a little caption telling us what's happened to them. That's really brilliant. That means I don't have to watch that episode ever again. I'm so happy that I found out a major spoiler about a character that I'm probably not going to see on the TV show for maybe a couple years. Isn't that wonderful, ladies and gentlemen? The My Hero Academia Wiki. What a wonderful resource. Like, seriously, that's like the 5th program that's been spoilt for me because of just random crap that's been floating about online that's not even had like a spoiler warning from it. Like I say, it wasn't even like hidden in the article. It was literally on like the thumbnail for that character, what's happened to them. So for anybody that, I don't like doing this, but I want to just say it. For anybody that doesn't want spoilers for this show, don't go to the My Hero Academia Wiki, like, at all, possibly ever again, because when you can just stumble upon it without even digging into a character profile, that's just, I'm just totally blown away by that. Just look up character spellings, like, from other YouTubers, or possibly from Wikipedia itself. You're less likely to get something spoilt for you, but you know what, let's just move on to something else. Back to the actual meat of the review itself. Just want to say I appreciate this episode a lot. Like, as much as I might not like Endeavour for reasons that are very evident for the things he's done and things that we know that he's done, particularly towards his family and his wife and Shoto himself, I do appreciate the fact that he's treating the subject matter of him and who he is as a character in a very mature way. I was worried when I heard about them doing this like character arc stuff with him that they were effectively going to just look over that, just totally whitewash it and just focus on him being a super cool, badass kind of character. But the fact they're actually showing him in a far more nuanced and interesting light than this, that they're actually showing his home life, is honestly fantastic to see from a program like this. And it's doing it from an angle that we don't really see much from. I'm not going to go into too far into this because it's talking about subject matter, which, you know, it's not really in the remit for the programs I do, and you know, YouTube being YouTube, I'll probably get flagged somewhere along the lines for it, but I'll just say I really have enjoyed the stuff they've done with Endeavour thus far. Maybe I won't come around to liking him, but I can at least respect who he is as a character and the writing that's got into him. But of course, we'll soon see. We've got another Christ knows how many episodes still with this story arc with him, so we'll see where all that stuff goes. Another element of this episode that I really did enjoy was the whole world building stuff that we got, learning about the first wielder of One for All. It was really fantastic, just brilliantly put together. Like, I was worried when I heard that we're going to start learning a bit more about the past of this world and the past of this particular character, as I worried that it would end up being incredibly exploratory. It would just tell us everything that we needed to know, just as easily as I am to you. But it was told in a very creative and very interesting way. Whilst I would like to see more of that time period, the time when quirks were starting to emerge, you know, we've kind of all seen it with X-Men, but to just get a hint of it, to just get a sense of it, and to how easily a character like One for All, or All for whatever, the big bad guy, how easily it was for him to rise to power is just actually a fun, really interesting thing to see. And it doesn't do it in a grand way, it just shows us it on a small scale, that he can just give people power. He can take power from one person who doesn't want it to someone who does want it. And just that desire or that hatred of power, just how he can manipulate that, just shows what an interesting character he can be. I always find manipulative characters far more interesting than just the hulking brutes who can punch stuff really hard. And to see that character in his prime and as he rises to power is really fantastic and really fascinating to see. I hope to see more of it, but hopefully not too much more of it too soon. Like, if we get a little bit of this every 10 episodes or so, I'll be fine. Or even just once a season would be perfectly good for me. I mean, this is stuff that you can't rush and you can't spoil. Though, of course, it does hint as to where we're going, particularly towards the end of the episode, where we see the window blowing out of Midoriya's room, that things are going to happen. I know what those things are, because again, it's stuff that's been spoiled for me, so I'm not going to spoil it for anyone else. Even though I do put the warning for spoilers, it means for spoilers for the episode itself, not the wider season itself. But, you know, it's interesting to see where all this is going, particularly where Midoriya's stuff is going to end up being. We'll just have to see as to where all that goes. I totally lost my train of thought then, so let's just take a moment to look at my notes and then come back. But yeah, all in all, it is a fantastic episode, a really strong opener for this season. Let's be honest, this is the true episode 1 of season 5. The episode before this was filler, great filler, but filler nonetheless, and this is where the substantial content comes from. And it's always very night and day with this program, comparing the filler episodes to the actual proper as written episodes. Whilst I can be a little bit iffy as far as adaptations of manga and such can be concerned, I have to say that this is honestly brilliant to see. This is a very well written show, and it's honestly one of my favourite programmes on television at the moment. It is a true sight to behold, and I'm really excited to see where this is going to be going in the future. But what about you, dear listener? What do you think about this week's episode of My Hero Academia? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, click the bell, and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to do. Thank you for watching, and see you next time! Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, click the bell, and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to do. Go on, it'll do me a power of good. Until next time, my friends, goodbye!